Hello and welcome to the Vineyard View. I'm your host, Ann Bassett, coming to you from MVTV, community television here on Martha's Vineyard Island. Today, my guest is Erik Palmer. Now, I am really going to be interested in this conversation. Erik is a student at the University of Florida. Erik was born and brought up in Hong Kong and then moved to Falmouth. There's a lot of culture shock in there, and I have a lot of questions for him. So, Erik, thank you very much for being here today.
Of course.
Well, and I am fascinated by the arc of your life. What was it like in Hong Kong? What do you remember?
Well, I lived there for 13 years, so I remember quite a bit. I mean, obviously it's very different to the US. I lived in a small suburban, it was like a golf cart community right outside of the city. It was like a 20-minute boat ride to Hong Kong City, which is huge. It's crazy. I don't remember like most of the city since it was so big, but definitely really diverse. It's one of the biggest expat populations in the world, so a lot of different people from different areas.
Truly international.
Yeah.
And the food, I understand, is
the food
fabulous.
is, the food is amazing. You have food from pretty much everywhere. My favorite was Thai. I've always loved Thai food.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Your dad was brought up in Falmouth, so you had spent summers there. You certainly knew Falmouth.
Yeah.
And did the move, were you looking forward to it, or was it upsetting?
Well, in the moment, I remember thinking, it's kind of weird. I was like, oh, it's not like that big of a deal. Like, it's just part of life, because I've traveled previously because my dad's a pilot, so I'd say I was pretty adaptable to it.
How many countries have you been in? Do you know?
I think 16. Most of them are Asian countries. Yeah.
Right, because your mom is Korean.
Yeah.
And you have roots in Chappaquiddick. Now, can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's pretty random, but I mean, it's brought me here today, so.
Right.
Yeah.
I have pictures of your great-grandparents. Your great-grandfather was the mayor of Chappaquiddick. Everything that happened on Chappie happened because of Foster Silva, and he was involved in everything. And Dodie, who was a wonderful cook, they were just a huge, huge presence. I know that my grandfather spent a lot of time with your great-grandfather, and they were good friends. So you have those roots, and they had Foster Jr. and then Joan and John, who were twins.
Yeah.
And when I was growing up, they were the only twins in Edgartown. I mean, they were very special. And so Joan is your grandmother, and Rick is her son. You are her grandson. So that's your lineage on Chappie.
Yeah.
And you've spent time there, yes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, been there a few times. Probably not as connected as I should be, but that's because I spend most of my time when I'm up here in Falmouth. Yeah.
Right.
I like to come to the vineyard, of course, but I mean, my house is in Falmouth, so I definitely feel more connected with that town.
Okay, so let's go back to the move. So you went to Falmouth Academy, a very good school. You liked it?
Well, it has its pros and cons. It's a very small school, about 37 kids in my graduating class, so yeah, you're with the same people all day, every day, and everyone kind of knows each other, which is both good and bad in its own ways.
Small town stuff.
Yeah.
Academically, you did very, very well because Asian schools are really very advanced.
Yeah,
and I remember hearing
that. I would say so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a common stereotype, but it is. But I mean, at least in my experience, it is true from what I've found out from moving from Hong Kong to the U.S.
So back to Falmouth Academy. So you made friends.
Yeah.
And did you already know some people? Your dad has, of course, long-standing friends from his childhood in Falmouth.
Yeah, I actually knew two guys because I did soccer camp when I'd come up here for summer, and they did the same one at Falmouth Academy. So it was nice going into the new school, knowing at least a few people.
Did you feel challenged, or was the first year kind of repetitive for you?
Academic-wise?
Academically.
I did not really feel challenged my first year. Yeah.
But it got better?
Yeah, of course it got harder, but the first year was pretty chill.
And you've chosen the University of Florida.
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
Multiple reasons. I mean, it's the biggest school I got into, and going to a small high school, I wanted to kind of expand upon that. And the weather is just amazing in general. Big football school, and I don't know, the culture is just great down there. I could tell when I visited, I think my junior year of high school, visited Gainesville with my dad, and it was great. I had no complaints.
Super. Now, sports are important in your life.
Yeah,
You've always played sports.
yeah.
I have a lot of pictures of you playing sports.
I mean, I love sports.
Yeah. Which ones particularly?
I'd say soccer is my favorite sport because I grew up playing soccer in Hong Kong. That was kind of the sport to play, at least in the school I went to. So
And it's big on the vineyard, and I'm sure in Falmouth as well.
yeah.
Did you get to play out of state?
No, just in Massachusetts. I played lacrosse too for my high school,
Ah.
which was fun.
And do you swim?
I swam when I was really young, like I don't know, 7 or 8 years old. But I mean, I was a lifeguard for 2 summers, so
Oh,
I had to
that's
do
right.
a CPR AED certification, which involved swimming.
You've had so much education in so many different directions. It's absolutely fascinating. So, what are you studying, and where are you going in the future?
I'm studying finance right now at UF. I came into UF with a studying business administration, but that's because I didn't really know what I wanted to do specifically at that time. But I did 2 semesters and realized finance would be the right degree for me because I want to get into commercial real estate when I'm older.
Ah,
Yeah.
I just met a young woman who is studying international finance. Is that something that's interested you, or do you really interested more in the real estate?
I think I'm interested more in the real estate aspect because one day I want to have my own property and be able to earn an income off that. So,
Well, and you have your parents to model that. They own
Yeah.
property and are landlords in Falmouth.
yeah, and I'd love to become one day. Of course, I'll work for a firm. Yeah, but I just feel like it'd be really valuable experience for what my kind of end goal is, like financially wise.
Tell us more about that. What are some of your dreams, Eric?
To be financially free at some point of my life, be able to work my own hours. That's a big dream of mine. Of course, have a family, settle down, but I'd really like to become financially stable off my own income, not a wage, but some sort of not passive. Yeah, passive would be great actually, but just revenue generating assets that I own, such as real estate. And I'd say I'm pretty creative too. Always been into artwork, music, just creating stuff, and I'd want to use my tap into my creative thoughts and use that to make an income one day.
That's interesting, and I know people who've done that rather successfully, and even on a very small scale. 2 of my daughters were really into horses and
Yeah.
really spent a lot of time. It can be an expensive hobby, if you will.
Yeah,
They cleaned houses. They learned that they could make more money cleaning houses for a couple of hours in the morning and then have the whole rest of the day free to work with horses. One trains in dressage, and the other one was very interested in driving.
yeah,
And I was fascinated by the concept that you can do something, anything, that will buy you the freedom to do what you really want.
yeah. That's a good way to put it.
And you're interested in the arts. I've seen your drawings for years. It's interesting. Have you ever done enough drawings to have a show?
No, it was mainly just like a side hobby that I do. If I had really nothing else to do, I just get a pencil and a piece of paper and I know see what my mind can create
Okay,
on it.
the computer desk
Yeah.
that you drew. You were what, 13?
Um,
And then you built it, yes?
yeah, I drew that. I think I was younger because it's not that great of a drawing. I think I was like 9 or 10, and then yeah, when I was 13, I built my own PC, and pretty much brought
Oh,
that
that's
to
right. You
life.
built the computer itself.
Yeah.
Cool. So, okay, this is one of the things that interests me. I grew up in Edgartown, small town,
Yeah.
and knew everybody, knew
Mm-hmm.
absolutely everybody. You grew up in Hong Kong, and the major international city,
Yeah.
and our lives have just been so different. I learned computers in the 90s. You grew up with computers. You know computers in a way that I will never know computers. It's fascinating to me how the world has changed.
Yeah.
And you are in the driving seat.
Mm-hmm. I would say so at 2023. Currently,
Yeah.
it is kind of the driving seat. Well, you could say that about any present day, but
Right, but you're going to a really good university. You're studying classes. You're meeting people from around the world. You've always met people from around
Yeah.
the world. So tell us a little bit more about your classes. There you are in Florida. How are you, classes all day? Do you have time? Do you have jobs outside of classes?
well, yeah, I've had a job in college. Of course, classes are time consuming. Some are online, some are in person,
Ah,
and yeah. The 4 classes I just previously took this previous semester is um, financial accounting. It was my 3rd accounting class. That was kind of hard. And then business statistics and AI. That was an interesting course. Had a lot to do with coding and Python. What else? International business. That was interesting too, because got to keep up with current events and what's going on in like each major country. That was pretty interesting. My last one, what was my business law? It's a lot of reading, and I'm not the most interested in the law side of business, but it is good stuff to know, of course.
useful
Yeah.
tool,
Yeah.
right? And speaking about needing to know what's going on, can you talk a little bit about what you see politically and where your interests lie?
Politically, like in this country or
Oh, worldwide.
just worldwide, I mean, I feel like politics is a great tool for division. That's how I see politics. I see
Good
it
one.
as a bunch of people that think they're smarter than their counter people that are making arguments against them. That's how I see it.
Arrogance.
Yeah.
Lot of arrogance.
Hmm. And of course, there's no perfect system, but I think it'd be a lot more helpful if the elites worked with each other instead of against each other.
Good. I'm so glad you said that. Because this is such a divisive society right
Yeah,
now.
and it's only being amplified by the use of social media and news. I feel like that's pushing the division amongst the population,
True.
and I see it as a big issue, but it's not much I can do to help it.
Being a responsible citizen, and the first thing
Yeah.
you can do is vote.
Yeah,
And that's really, how old are you?
I'm 21.
You're 21.
Yeah.
And you've been able to vote since you were 18.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I think that that's a good way to participate.
yeah.
So,
I mean, if you're do your research with credible sources, then yeah, you should vote.
right.
Yeah.
Back to finances. Okay, you were given money, I understand, at a very young age, and you've been handling it and doing the stock market. You know a lot more about finances than I do
Mm-hmm.
from an early age. And is that what brought you to studying finance in college?
A little bit of that, but I've always excelled in math over, I'd say English, history, definitely. Always been a numbers guy, so I thought it'd just be a versatile degree, and I can figure it out later in my career in college, which is what I'm headed to.
When I think about you as being a privileged person
Yeah.
leading a privileged life.
Yeah, definitely.
But by the same token, you're a real person. Because I know last spring I got to see you when you were on a break. You were working in a pizza shop in Falmouth.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like to work. I like to make my money.
And your friends. Talk about your friends a little bit.
Well, I have friends here. I have friends in college. Most of them went to Falmouth Academy with me. I have a few from Falmouth High School. And yeah, I have a good group of around like 6 guys and probably stay friends for the rest of our life. So
Nice.
love my friends here. I have a lot of them down in college too.
How is your life structured in school? What does your day look like? I mean, up early, classes?
I'm more of a night owl. I get most of my work done late at night, honestly. Yeah, that's just how I function in college and what's given me the best results. I try and, I mean, I do go to the gym 6 days a week. That's one of my biggest hobbies, and I'll go with my friends pretty much every day, and that's always great. Like usually after class, before dinner, and then either hit the library or, I don't know, just chill out, maybe go out for a drink or two. Yeah,
Sounds nice.
yeah, it's
Sounds like a
awesome.
Yeah, exactly. You also did martial arts.
Yeah.
Do you still keep up with your martial arts?
Fortunately, I haven't had time to keep up with it that much, but I feel like a lot of the stuff I've learned over like 8 years is ingrained, like muscle memory wise.
Oh, you worked with Maurice a
Yeah.
lot.
Wei Chi Ru,
Ah,
that's the style of karate I was studying.
my brother is a sensei in Shorin-ryu,
Oh yeah?
and yes, and he's a 6th-degree black belt.
Okay,
He had to go to Okinawa for the.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it was a big
That-
deal.
Okinawa is where Wei Chi Ru is based in.
He taught here for many, many years.
Yeah, a lot of discipline that goes into it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and how you handle yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the assurance that comes with knowing how to handle yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a good
Because I think
feeling.
it shows.
Yeah.
You've done some modeling.
When I was younger, yeah. Like I was 13 for the Black Dog. It was one photo shoot. That's about it.
Cool. Oh, now when you were 16,
Oh
there
yeah.
was there's a gorgeous picture I've seen, yes.
Yeah, that was down in New York. It was like kind of an audition. There were 100 other people. I mean, I was selected in the top, I think it was like top 6, but I was 16 at the time, and they later informed me that I was too young. I had to be 18. So
Because it's not an easy life.
yeah.
I mean, if you really
I
do
mean,
it.
I still want to go to school, get educated.
Oh.
That wouldn't be like my main thing unless I was making millions. But
I hear you loud and clear,
Yeah.
yes. You have your priorities straight.
yeah, I like to think so.
I'm going to backtrack for a minute.
Okay.
Because I know your family, and because I've had political discussions with your dad, which is always interesting,
Yeah.
your mom is a fascinating person. Lena is, I could consider her a dear friend. She's done a cooking show here at
Oh, yeah.
MVTV, and she is just the most amazing cook.
I'll have to agree to that.
And she has shepherded you. I remember her making your lunches to take to school and always made sure that you had a good dinner when you came home. She's taught me a lot, too. Also, when she was in Hong Kong, one of the things that she did was she was an interpreter. And she knows, what, 5 languages?
Yeah.
What languages do you know, Erik?
I know English. I know a bit of French because I learned that in high school. Bit of Korean, a bit of Mandarin. Unfortunately, most of my Mandarin has faded since I've moved here, which is probably one of my biggest regrets of my life, is not being able to stick with one language and being able to become fluent in it. I know all of us had somewhat of an issue learning languages, and just English in general. It's probably the hardest subject in school for me.
Because you have a math brain.
Yeah, I just guess yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, again, which fascinates me because I'm totally English, and math is a foreign language for me.
Yeah.
My brain just doesn't work that way. But my best friend used to do her boyfriend. He was going to engineering school. She used to do his calculus for fun, and I was like, "Whoa, what planet are you from?"
Yeah, I wish I had a girlfriend that was like that.
People are who they are.
Yeah.
And your brain is wired the way it's wired, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're meeting girls all the time. You'll find you'll find one that does calculus for fun.
Hopefully, that's a goal.
That's a goal. Back to what you said about Mandarin. If you were doing international business, I imagine that's a language you'd have to know, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I'd say Mandarin, Spanish, and English.
One of the things that I observed when your grandmother and I and Trip went to Europe, we were in Paris first, and then in England, and then a little bit in Scotland. I was amazed at how many Asian people there were everywhere. I mean, Paris was just alive, which said to me, well, that's where the money is, that Asians are doing very, very well. In your international travels, what do you see?
Well, I've definitely gained a lot from my travels. Most of it's from a younger age. Because I lived in Hong Kong and my dad was a pilot, still is. Was able to go to many different Asian countries. It was very interesting to see how cultures differed, and I didn't really realize it when I was younger, but I look back now and I can see why each country has their own economical and political system and how each culture represents it. And it just teaches you to become, I feel like, adapt. You're able to adapt to new living situations pretty effectively.
Well, you are adaptable because you have a foot in a number of different cultures.
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
Give us some thoughts on that.
Well, it's great. I'm privileged to be able to have this knowledge of just different cultures in general. I feel like I could strike up a conversation with almost anyone, no matter their walk of life or what they practice or just any identity about them.
I agree. You
Yeah.
can. You do. Now, growing up in Falmouth, were all the kids pretty much of the same culture? I mean, did you have any Latino friends?
Most of my friends are white, growing up in Falmouth, definitely. Yeah. Which was that was one of the culture shocks, but it wasn't nearly as diverse as going to an international school in Hong Kong, obviously, but.
You're so much a part of your gang in Falmouth. Have you ever felt like an outsider?
Maybe like the first 2 years of school in the U.S. There have been times, yeah, but I don't know. I feel like I'm my own person, so I don't really feel that way anymore.
Good, and you project that.
Yeah.
You are right. You project a great deal of self-confidence,
Thanks.
which really works. For connecting with people, I think you do it very well and very easily.
Yeah, I try.
You're good at it. One of my favorite pictures of you is of you and your dad. You must be 5 or 6 in the cockpit of an enormous airplane.
Oh, yeah.
So your dad did the Hong Kong to San Francisco route for many, many years, yes?
Yeah.
And then, of course, had the opportunity to do a lot of other traveling. So of the other countries you've been to and seen, which were the ones that interested you the most?
I know I've been to Thailand a few times, and I checked out Bangkok and Phuket while I was down there. Also been to Bali, but Bangkok and Phuket were both really interesting because it's a completely different culture. Like I saw it when I was young, and I'm able to look back now and think about why that is. Of course, Bali is beautiful. That place is awesome. So that really interested me too. Other major cities, Dubai, Singapore, those were really fascinating. Of course, I wish I didn't take it for granted as much when I was younger, as I haven't been traveling as much recently. That's because I'm just busy with school and
Yes.
life in general. But
Right. Oh, but I imagine travel is on your horizon. As
yeah,
you-
I definitely want to travel for a bit after I graduate.
But you see yourself working in the United States?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to predict yet. Whatever.
Oh, of course. Your
Yeah.
life could go in so many different
Yeah.
directions. That's part of the fun of thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
You belong to a fraternity.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that.
It's great. It's definitely pushed me to socialize as much as I can because it was hard coming from a small private school. As privileged as that sounds, there were only like 37, 38 kids in my graduating class. That's kind of one of the main reasons I decided to go that route in college. And it's down south. It's kind of a big culture in Greek life, and just wanted to be a part of it. Looked fun. Met a bunch of great people.
And you're making connections.
Yeah.
I mean, every so often when I chat with your grandmother and she'll say, "Oh, Eric's going over spring break with some of his brothers to vacation here or there." It's just meeting people who open opportunities. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I'll definitely know these kids for the rest of my life. I feel like we've already have done so much together in the past 2.5 years.
Great,
Yeah.
great. Just going back for a minute to Falmouth Academy, I've become aware of the fact that I spend a lot of time with one of my great-granddaughters.
Yeah.
And she is, in order to graduate from 8th grade to go to high school, she has to have accomplished so many hours of community service. Did you ever have to do that?
Yeah, I did at Board and Farms over the summer.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, tell me what you did.
I would just help little kids go into the bouncy castle, walk some horses, just play with the little kids, keep them entertained.
Really? And where is this?
It's Board of Farms, so it's in it's in Falmouth.
In Falmouth.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a fabulous concept. I wish there had been such a thing when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But this thing about that we're part of a community and that you need to contribute to that community.
Oh yeah.
So, for instance, I collected a bunch of books to send to schools in Africa.
Yeah.
And
that's
so
great.
my great-granddaughter helps me with the packing and the carrying. She's stronger than I am. And so I get to put those down for her hours for her community service.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It is. I'm just glad that the schools have that awareness. Again, what am I not asking? What aspect of your life?
I don't know, maybe like my involvement in school or
Yes,
yeah.
talk about it.
I'm going to be a teacher assistant this upcoming semester.
Are you?
Yeah, for my favorite class I took 2 semesters ago.
Which
So it
is?
was business finance.
Ah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that class. It's the best I've done in a singular class.
So what will your responsibilities be?
I'd come up with exam and quiz questions for the students taking it this upcoming semester. I'd hold office hours for anyone that has questions about the material.
My
and
goodness.
potentially help creating a extra credit project.
Well, well.
Yeah.
That's. Boy, your resume is really looking good.
I'm trying to bulk it up. It's also, I know I was part of this leadership development program for my business school, and that was cool. It was more laid back. It was more experiential learning. Held a community service project, which we made sandwiches for the local homeless residents of Gainesville. Part of the real estate club, so I go.
A real estate club?
Yeah, it's pretty much like bi-weekly meetings with guest speakers from various firms come in and talk about their job and what they do. It's pretty interesting stuff, so I've been part of that for almost 2 years now.
Well, well. I'm finding connections as you're talking. Your grandmother worked with her mother in real estate, started off just on Chappie,
Yeah.
but ended up, your grandmother was traveling around the country doing deals and doing things.
Yeah, that's
It's
awesome.
interesting to know that that's in your future.
Yeah.
Well, I did real estate for a number of years too,
Oh, yeah?
but just here on the vineyard. It was, to me, fascinating because you have to learn about properties, you have to learn
Yeah.
about towns, town government, you have to learn about the environment, you have to learn about what you can and can't do with that property.
Yeah.
You have to learn.
There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
There are a lot of rules and regs.
Yeah.
And the more informed you are, the more you can inform your client. But it was fascinating, and I really enjoyed it. Also, I was lucky. I liked the social aspect. I loved meeting people.
Oh
driving
yeah,
them
but
around.
I'd say I'm a pretty sociable guy. So
Yes, you are.
I feel like it's right up my alley to go to real estate.
But in my position, I did the social stuff and learned about the properties and things. But my husband, who had been a selectman, he really should have been a lawyer. He had a
Yeah.
very sharp brain. So we were a good team. We worked together and we complemented each other's strengths and weaknesses. I see that you've got all the strengths and none of the weaknesses, because you get to do both.
I mean, that's what I'm hoping for in the future for my career.
What's the dating scene like? at the
Dating scene in
university?
college, tough question. I mean, there's plenty of people to find. It's a huge school, like 40K undergraduates, something like that. It's massive. So there's going to be a bunch of people that you can meet.
But you do things in a crowd a lot,
Yeah.
yes?
Yeah.
So you're out with a group of people.
Yeah, definitely.
So rather than single dating a lot.
Mm. I mean, just depends on the person, I feel like. Yeah.
So I don't mean to pry, but I'm
Oh,
I'm
no, yeah.
curious because it's all part of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely met multiple people. Don't have a girlfriend. If I do find someone I truly like, then I'm not opposed to having a girlfriend, but I feel like I'm just busy with
You're very busy.
yeah, other stuff.
Yeah. What's it like in Gainesville?
Oh, it's great. As a college student, it's amazing. I don't have any complaints besides that it's like an hour away from the beach. It's pretty landlocked, but I mean, I'm occupied in Gainesville, so I'm not really thinking about that all the time. I mean, I've been to the beach a few times, but Gainesville, I don't know if I'd want to live there post-grad. I feel like it's more of a city built around University of Florida, which it is, and it makes sense why college students love it.
Right.
I'd say everyone's pretty happy there. Everyone's seems to be doing well, having a good time. Everyone's polite.
But you also mentioned that you help to feed the homeless.
Oh yeah.
So there is that.
I mean, yeah,
that
there's-
exists everywhere.
Yeah, there's gonna be that pretty much everywhere, I feel like.
Yeah. Sometimes our society does not do a good job taking care of people.
Yeah. Should probably try and keep up with politics more, but I don't know. I'm just not that big of a political guy. I mean, I get that everyone's political identity aligns with their own moral compass and their own values, so it is a hard thing to talk about since everyone's brain is wired differently, and everyone's raised in a different way. It's different values installed within them through their parents.
You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. I can remember as a child learning that every family had its own culture,
Yeah.
that there are things that they do in that house in this way, and that can be absolutely foreign to anything you've ever seen before. So even in a very small town, there are all these little neighborhoods, and then there are all these individuals. You're right, and that's their environment.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating, fascinating. But anyway, you move pretty seamlessly through all different crowds of people, don't
Yeah,
you?
I've been in a good amount of, crowds. I'd say, yeah.
Yeah, nice, nice. So you're going to be doing this assistant teaching
Yeah.
thing that's coming up. Will you have more opportunities to do that before you graduate?
I mean, I just got to see how it goes, and I think I will. Yeah.
And when do you graduate?
Well, I'm a junior now, so it'd
Yes.
be 2025, but I am thinking about a master's program in real estate, and that would be an extra year of school.
Again at Florida?
Yeah.
They have a master's program that interests you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I am looking into that.
The more education, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's always good to learn. I love learning. Feel like you can never not learn enough.
And that attitude will do you well for your whole life.
Yeah.
I learn something new every day, and it's what keeps you going.
Yeah, the
Right.
pursuit of knowledge.
Yes, the pursuit of knowledge, absolutely. Okay, again, what am I not asking? What aspect of your life?
Maybe what I do for fun or.
Yes, please.
My main hobby is just going to the gym. I'd say fitness. I like running around campus. I like weightlifting, powerlifting, bodybuilding, all of it. It's just the feeling of, I don't know, being physical. It's great. I play soccer, basketball, just whatever pickup sports I can find. That's a pretty big part of my life, definitely. Because if you take care of your physical body, then you'll feel good mentally too. And I figured that out probably at the start of high school. Started going to the gym, and it's been great. A bunch of benefits.
Oh, absolutely. Well, even people my age, move it or lose it.
Yeah.
Take care of the corporeal envelope.
Mm-hmm.
So do you go to the gym with the same guys? Do you work out with the same guys? Your pickup games? When do you get to do that?
Well, I live in the fraternity house, and we have a basketball court
Oh,
right in our
nice.
backyard. So just whoever's playing, I can go join in. Whoever, I'll just yell down my hallway, who wants to go to the gym, and then someone will come out and we'll go to the gym together. It's great.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yes, I can see that sports are important in your life.
yeah.
So what have you personally learned from doing sports?
Definitely discipline. I mean, I've been weightlifting for consistently, I'd say 4 or 5 years, and even if you don't feel like I want to see progress and results and enjoy the process too. And I've learned to enjoy the process where I want to go to the gym pretty much every day. It's something I really enjoy doing. But at the beginning, it was definitely hard when I know I was a lot less experienced and had a lot less knowledge of nutrition and just training. And some days I just didn't feel like it at all. I was tired, but it's consistency and discipline. It's not motivation. Because you can be motivated and then be inconsistent, but if you're disciplined, then you're going 6 days a week, 4 days a week consistently.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And team sports.
Team sports, yeah, just working in a team in general is like a great skill to have, something that I'll definitely need in the future. Definitely most people will need. And I was the team captain of my lacrosse team senior year, so that taught me a lot, being in a leadership position.
You bet.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about just within my own family. I have 4 brothers. When we were growing up, I had to do everything they did. So, I had to learn to throw the shot put, and I had to learn to do all those things. If they did it, I had to do it.
Yeah.
And watching them keep up with the things that they keep up. Oh, and one brother sails and has an absolutely beautiful wooden yacht and does chartering. And he's going to be 80 in a couple of weeks. He's still doing it, raising those sails and
That's
doing
great.
all of that. Right. Now, how about you? How about you in boating? Your dad loves boating. How
Yeah,
about you?
he does. I haven't got into boating quite like he has. I'm not sure. It's just maybe a difference in interest. I mean, I've loved going, when we did have a boat, I loved going out in it, but he loves driving things. That's why he's a pilot.
You're right.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
That's his skill set.
Hmm.
We need to get ready to wind this up.
Okay.
I just have a couple more questions. I wanted to talk a little bit about the arts and music, because I know that you have spent time and that they've been important in your life. I remember listening to some tapes at one point that you were doing with rap music.
Yeah. I mean, that was more as a joke. One of my best friends, James, he produces music. He plays a lot of instruments, and it was just fun to create something from scratch. And I feel the same way. And drawing, it's just like a physical rendering of what you're thinking in your mind, which I find is pretty cool to do in different mediums.
Yes, you're creative in different ways.
Yeah.
And all those opportunities are there all the time.
Yeah.
Nice. How would you like to wrap this up? What would you like to say to your audience about you and your life?
I mean, I don't want to sound like narcissistic or anything. I'd say I have lived a pretty privileged and great life in general, like relative to, I know, the human population. Yeah, it's been great, and I'm excited for the future, definitely.
Well, so am I. I wish you every bit of luck, and you're not going to need it because you have skills and you know how to use them, and you're personable, and you have lots and lots of talents. And
Thanks.
I see good things for you, Erik.
Thank you.
Good things. So thank you, and thank you for being here today.
Of course, anytime.
This has been The Vineyard View. I'm your host, Ann Bassett, saying keep your eye on MVTV. And thank you, Erik, for insights into a world that I find fascinating.